What's good, everybody? This is your pal Patrick. I'm back with another IZBLAB video, and today I'm going to talk about the SF30 Pro. It's a Bluetooth gaming pad created by 8BitDo. I'm not going to do an unboxing. As you can see, it's already been taken out of the box. I can show you some of the box here, or all of the box, if any of you are interested in it, but there's nothing really to unbox. It's very simple, right? This was the USB cable that it came with. Type-C. It was down in the bottom, right in there. On top of that was the directions, and this just fit right in there. That's all it was. Okay, let me do the unboxing. A fake unboxing. Here we go. Oh, wow, look at this. I just got it. Let me unbox it. Here we go. Wow, very interesting. Very neat packaging. You guys don't care about the packaging, but that's what was in there. Okay. So, we'll go ahead and talk about what was in the box. I don't think I had that in the picture. Let me see. No, that was way out, wasn't it? Okay, well, you want me to do it again? I can do it again. Here. Let me restage this. Okay, there it is. This is the box, all that good stuff on it. Oh yeah, it can be used with the Switch, macOS, Android, Windows, Steam, and the Raspberry Pi. This little bad boy is just so awesome, but I've only used it with Windows 10 and Steam, basically Steam, but it's on a Windows machine, and Switch. Alright, let's flip her back over, let's unbox her, even though the cable's out here. We're staging the unboxing. Hope you guys don't mind. Look at this, wow. Okay, so let's actually look at the box. Alright. Like I said, or as it's stated here, you have Switch, macOS, Android, Raspberry Pi, Steam, and Windows. I bought it for the Switch, Steam/Windows use, and Raspberry Pi. That's why I bought it. I guess it says here what it comes in. Okay, 16 hours worth of play. That's nice for the battery. The Gamepad, of course, is in there. I like how they did little icons instead of the actual picture of the USB Type-C cable and instruction manual. Okay. And, of course, on the top of the box, you have the top of the controller. On the bottom of the box, bottom of the controller. Nothing on the sides. Right? Okay, that's the box. And that's the controller. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk more about this controller, shall we? So the controller itself, of course, looks like the Super Nintendo controller, or the Super Famicom controller, if that's what you want to call it, if that's what you want to be technical. Like I said, 8BitDo also has the more retro style controller where it just has the shoulder buttons and no thumbsticks. Okay, so you have, of course, the face buttons here. You have the directional pad there, the two thumbsticks. I'm sorry that it looks a little dirty, and you may not be able to see it very well, but over here you have the screenshot button, and over here you have the home button. Interesting thing about this design, the screenshot button is almost flush with the surface over here. However, the home button is a little more textured, a little raised. It's got a little bit of a moat around it between the surface of the controller and the actual button itself. Either way, you can actually find these two buttons fairly easily, especially this one, of course. But you can find this button over here, if you can see it, fairly easy without having to look down. Of course, you've got the select and start buttons. Up top here, you have the shoulder buttons and the trigger buttons. Now, as you can see, these buttons are fairly close together, and especially the shoulder buttons are pretty narrow. Trigger buttons are a good size. But because the shoulder buttons are a little bit raised above the rest of, the controller, and the trigger buttons are more flush with the controller, it's actually very easy to switch between the two. It's very easy to find and use the shoulder buttons, and it's very easy to move over to the trigger buttons. Trigger buttons have a bit of a concave feeling right here, and you know exactly which button you're on when you go to it. You can move back and forth. It's very easy. Raising the shoulder buttons was a good idea. Changing the shape a little bit of the trigger buttons just adds to how well this works together. You don't have to worry about hitting the wrong thing accidentally, because by feel, it's very distinct. So you don't really have to worry too much about that. Alright, so let's look at the bottom, and you have the indicator lights there. Of course, they serve a couple of functions. If it's going back and forth, that means it's searching for a host to connect to. Once it has a solid light, then that means it's connected, and I believe the light that's lit up determines the number of the controller. Alright, the typical kind of thing you'd expect from any Bluetooth controller or any wireless controller. Let me move back up to the top and show you this little pinhole here. That's not a pinhole, actually, that's a light. It shows red. So you also have the USB-C connection, and this button right here. I can't remember what that button's for. I think that's to, yes, that's to search, of course. That's to search for the host, and I think so. Wow, I'd have to look at the manual again. I can't say that I know for sure that's what it is, but I believe that's what it's for. Now, switching between modes is fairly straightforward. I only know of two modes right off the bat because they're the only two modes I use. That's the Switch mode and the PC/Steam mode. They're the same mode, PC and Steam, so you don't really have to worry about it. I'm sorry, Windows and Steam. Just like I think it's the same for Mac and Steam, you don't actually have to try to connect to the Steam. If you're connected to your PC or Mac, then it's going to work on Steam if you have Steam installed. But in order to use the Windows mode, you have to hold down Start and X, and then it'll do its flashy thing, and then get that solid color to let you know that it's connected to your Windows PC. And if you want to use the Switch mode, you would hold down Start and Y. Hold those down together until, again, it goes solid, and then you know it's connected to your Switch. This little guy is extremely responsive with the Switch, and I like using it. Everything is real close together, so it did take a couple of minutes for me to get used to it, but it didn't take long. I was able to use it with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And after a few minutes, I was able to just do whatever I wanted to do whatever I needed to do. Dodge, moves, block, attack, glide, whatever. I was able to use it fairly easy. The directional pad was a little bit harder for me to get used to than anything else, but again, it only took a couple of minutes. I was able to do it. As far as using it with Windows, using it on Steam was kind of weird. Now, I don't know if there's a difference between using it on a game that's installed on Windows and using it on a game installed in Steam, but I did notice something. I have Downwell for Steam on my computer, on my Surface Pro 3, because that's what I have it connected to. If I use the directional pad, it's extremely responsive, but if I try to use the thumbstick, it's delayed. I thought it might be the firmware, so I plugged in the USB cable and plugged it into the computer, updated the firmware, didn't make a difference. But not all games do that. Volgar the Viking I also have on Steam, and I'm able to use the thumbstick just fine. It's very responsive. As soon as I move it, it moves with me. It's just the same as using the directional pad. Everything's fine. It was just Downwell that was having this issue. I wanted to see if it was because it was a Surface Pro 3 or if it was because it was a wireless controller. So I plugged in my Xbox 360 controller into my Surface Pro 3. It's a wireless controller. And the thumbstick was just as responsive as the directional pad on the Downwell game. Just as responsive. If I went crazy with it on the thumbstick, then it moved crazy on the computer using the Xbox 360 controller. And the same with the directional pad. But I couldn't do that with this one on the same game. Now, other games, like I said, with Volgar the Viking, this was perfectly responsive. I don't know what that means. I don't know what to say about that. Will it be fixed? Is it a game issue? Is it a Steam issue? Is it a PC issue? I really don't know. That's what I found out. But it feels really good. The buttons have a nice little, I don't know what's the term, tactile feel. Let me make sure I'm still focused here. Yeah. The button has a nice little tactile feel to them. All the buttons are responsive. They feel firm. They feel strong. Everything feels good. Even the joystick, the thumbsticks, excuse me. Even these feel good as far as buttons go. There's a good number of There's a good amount of resistance when you're moving the thumbsticks. It feels good and solid and pops right back to the middle. It feels like really good quality. This was released December 10th of 2017. Coincidentally, that is my mother's birthday also. Oh, look at that. It's trying to look for something. That's my mother's birthday also. 68 years old. Doesn't look like it. Not at all. But as they say, black don't crack. I hope I didn't offend anybody with that. But this was released December 10th. I got mine a couple days later. I've been happy with it ever since. What is my impression of this controller? My impression is, if you like retro-styled or retro-themed devices, then this is the controller for you. It's kind of small, so if you have large hands, you might find it kind of difficult to use. For me, my hands aren't the biggest hands in the world, so it works out for me just fine. It's very responsive, except for the case of Downwell on Steam. Like I said, the thumbstick, but everything else works. The buttons are responsive, the directional pad. Like I said, I don't know what that's about. Should you get it? Yes, you should get it. It feels like it's very well constructed. It feels light. Of course, there's motion control like the box set and all the wonderful jazz that you would need to play with your controller on your Switch. Get it. I think you should get it. I suggest that you get it. It's well worth the money. I believe after tax, it's close to $50. And of course, you have the, what's that charge? Delivery charge? No, not delivery. I'm going blank now. I think I've talked too much. Give me a second. Let me see if I can think of it. It's not delivery. Now that's all I can think of. The delivery charge. Shipping and handling. Good Lord. Thank you. Shipping and handling may apply, unless, of course, you have Amazon Prime, which is the only place you can purchase this, I believe, is through Amazon. Anyway, that's it for you. The SF30 Pro. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, please hit that like button. And if you didn't, feel free to hit the dislike button. I'm cool with that. I appreciate you guys taking the time out to watch my video and chill out with me. And I hope to see you in the next one. Well, I hope you'll see me in the next one. Anyway, thanks. Bye-bye.